ins and outs, but Hugh does. And
Good
that's
evening,
his
everyone.
mindset.
Let's please stand for opening remarks from Mr. Abbatiello.
Opening remarks this evening are from Thomas Jefferson. The purpose of government is to enable the people of a community to live in safety and happiness. Government exists for the interests of the governed, not for the governors. Let's say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Can we have the approval of minutes from our March 15th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Good evening, Mayor Willie.
Yes, Mrs. Cook. Couple things. We've got a lot of reappointments to our boards and commissions. So I'd like to read those off, and if the council is of a mind, we get these folks approved so we can continue on with business. We have Redev Hanrahan for the Easton Utilities Commission. This will be her second 6-year term. Kevin Bateman on the Historic District Commission for 3 years. Kelly Pizor for the Historic District Commission, 3 years. Jimmy Bent for the Affordable Housing for 3 years. Jennifer Martello, Affordable Housing, 3-year term. And Bonnie Morrow, Affordable Housing, a 3-year term. Bonnie is the alternate on the Affordable Housing. So if you're so minded, I'd like to have a motion to approve all of those folks so we can get them in business.
Make a motion to approve the list.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Also, we received notice last week that the town of Easton has received MML's Achievement Award for Large Cities in the state of Maryland for last year. And it's based on the environmental programs that we have going on and the fact that the town of Easton and Easton Utilities collaborated on the presentation. And we will receive a plaque for this at this summer's convention in Ocean City. We've had some interest in Easton Point, locating a facility in the old Public Works building. So we'll be walking some folks through there in the next week or so just to see if it will fit their needs, and if so, we'll have more information on that as we go along. Business Review magazine is running an article in the May issue on the town of Easton. We have an interview with them next Tuesday afternoon to get this off and running. We've sent pictures and information to the Business Review magazine editorial staff, and it looks like that's going to be a pretty good article when it comes out. And we also don't want anybody to forget the budget workshops Wednesday and Thursday this week. Come early, get a good seat, and enjoy yourself. But will refreshments be served? No. No refreshments. We may have coffee, but that's about the extent of it.
No Fritos?
Any questions for Mayor Willie? Thanks. Mr. Richardson?
Good evening, President Cook, Council. I have 3 items for your consideration this evening. The first is our property maintenance bid. This is good for a 2-year period. We received bids back from 2 companies. All-in-One Properties was predominantly the low bidder on most of the line items. However, Living Ecosystem was the low bidder on mowing lawns greater than 1 acre. For that reason, the recommendation is to award the bid to All-in-One and utilize Living Ecosystems as a backup and, where appropriate, more cost-effective.
Any questions on that, or can we have a motion for approval?
I just had a quick question, Ms. Richardson. In the packet that we got, and maybe I was looking at the wrong one, but it had the 2021 property management maintenance bid information. It has Good Life Lawn Care on there, not All-in-One.
Oh. So we'll
Was that
confirm
the old
which is
one?
the correct name.
Yeah.
It does read differently on the cover letter to the
Right.
bid document, so
Okay.
we'll make sure we award it to the right one, whether it's Good Life or All-in-One.
All in one, okay.
Motion to approve the low bidder.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The second item is for our Parks and Recreation Department. They would like to use Sourcewell, which is a community of government agencies who does competitively solicited contracts for the purchase of a lawnmower, Kubota ZD 1211, in the amount of $14,187.22 from Burke Equipment Company. The FY21 budget had $15,000 allocated for this purchase.
Does anyone have any questions on the Kubota recommendation?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
And the last is a fairly significant project by our Planning and Zoning Department. They are working to consolidate our design guidelines for the historic district, and ultimately, the plan is to incorporate those properties with new construction outside of the historic district. They did bid this out. There were 4 inquiries. 2 proposals were received by the town of Easton. One by BCT Design Group in the amount of $66,000, and one from Johnson, Moran, and Thompson Incorporated in the amount of $40,000. The BCT did include both design documents, where the JMT Incorporated only included the historic district. However, the Planning and Zoning Department felt as though JMT was the appropriate design professional for this project.
Do they have an estimated cost then for the additional work outside the historic district?
So the plan right now is to only award the $40,000 for the historic district and work with them as professional services to see what it will take. We'll bring that back before you.
Okay.
The FY21 budget did have $70,000 allocated to professional services, specifically this design guideline. Some of that's been used up by other means at this point, but there are sufficient funds.
Okay. So do you need a recommendation then to go ahead, or are we going to wait until?
And we should recommend to go ahead.
Do we have a recommendation to award JMT the bid?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
That's all I have for this evening.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Richardson? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Ms. Van Ember?
I just wanted to remind everyone that at the next meeting will be the public hearing for the annexation out at the intersection of Black Dog Alley and Cordova Road. There's that parcel there owned by the Harrisons. And so we'll have our public hearing at the next meeting for that. That's all I have.
Any questions for Ms. Van Ember tonight? All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Enloe from the Waterfowl Festival.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you all so much for giving me the chance to present to you all tonight. We, in 2019, I'm Margaret Enloe, for those of you who don't know me. It's nice to see you all again. I am the Executive Director of Waterfowl Chesapeake, which is the partner for the Waterfowl Festival, which I'm sure you all know. In 2019, in anticipation of our 2020 Waterfowl Festival, which would have been our 50th year event, Waterfowl Chesapeake applied for a grant and won a grant from the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority to do quite a bit of infrastructure, and we considered this study to be part of that infrastructure work leading up to our 50th event. Obviously, the 2020 festival was postponed, so here we are in the beginning of 2021 to talk about 2019 economic impact and cultural impact results. This study was conducted by Rockport Analytics, which is an independent firm that is out of Annapolis. They have an incredible track record of doing incredible work. They have done everything from the Super Bowl to the Pocono 500 to the Masters in terms of economic impact. So we were thrilled that we had this local firm, or local Maryland anyway, local firm that could come and do this work for us. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on methodology. It's covered in the report, but I do want to assure you that they use the most current industry standard, the IMPLAN model, in doing their analysis. It's been used by government agencies, private sector, academia, and leading researchers to come up with economic impact results. So I just want to assure you of that. I'm not going to spend any time on methodology. I'm happy to put you in touch with them if you have questions on that as we go along. So tonight we're going to touch on the study result highlights, the economic and cultural impact. We'll talk about activities and lodging. And what's really different about this report is that we're looking at cultural feelings about our event as well. We didn't want to just present numbers. We wanted to know what our local residents and our visitors thought about us. We did this in preparation for our 50th festival, as I mentioned. We wanted to measure and analyze the full economic contribution that our organization, as well as our visitors, make to the community. And we wanted to understand the community's feelings about us. I already mentioned that the Stories of the Chesapeake Heritage Area was our funder, but I just want to bring that to your attention because we're incredibly grateful. If you wonder why organizations of our size don't do economic impact studies, it's because they're very, very costly. So you don't see that coming out of many nonprofit organizations for that reason. So our total economic impact, the big number for 2019 was $2.6 million in impact that was generated from the 2019 Waterfowl Festival. That's already been out there. I figured I might as well start with the big number, but let me explain a little bit about it. What's very important to understand about this report, and actually any tourism reports that you get, is the definition of a visitor. There is a very specific definition, and it's someone who has traveled 50 or more miles to come to an event, or who has stayed overnight. And in our case, we're the primary reason they came. That is the definition of a visitor. The reason this is important is we're measuring new revenues to the county. And new revenues meaning someone that doesn't live here, someone that's come here and spent here. The other reason this is important is that it aligns with state tourism data. So whenever you see the term visitor spending, know that this is the definition that's being used. This wasn't the case when they did economic impact studies, say 20 years ago or so. So now we have this very specific definition of the groups of people that we're looking at. For us, attendees is how many people come. So we had just over 15,000 people in 2019. 45% of those meet that visitor definition. We had just over 8,200 people that came from within 50 miles of Easton to attend Waterfowl Festival. So on page 13 of the report is a full diagram of visitors and not visitors. So as I go through this, I'll try and explain this is related to visitor dollars versus attendee opinions or dollars. So festival initiated activity supported a total of 48 jobs, full and part-time in the county, and $1.6 million in wages paid in the county. And you have to understand that those wages, of course, ripple out in terms of their economic impact. As people buy groceries, they go out themselves and spend on our businesses. So lots of data here. The main piece of information I want to point out, ooh, do I have a little pointer thingy? Oh, I think I do. Here. Waterfowl visitors come and shop. They really, really shop. The average Talbot County visitors spend on retail last year was $50. Waterfowl Festival visitors spend more than 2.5 times that when they arrive here. Shopping is about 32% of their spend. Food and beverage is a fairly large portion of their spend as well. We are the entertainment, I think, in town. But if you look at restaurant and shopping, that's more than half of visitor spending on those two categories. In terms of lodging, lodging is, quote, only 20%, but the amount spent on lodging by visitors on Waterfowl Weekend represents more than half of the lodging spend in Easton for the entire month of November. So it's very important to notice that this is sort of our year-end culmination in terms of tourism.
Hey, Margaret, can I ask a quick
Yes,
question?
sure.
So when you refer to shopping and food, is that outside of the Waterfowl? So is that shopping at other businesses or shopping within, like buying art from the artist?
Right, so we separate out a little bit later in the category, we separate out restaurant spending versus food vendor spending. Shopping, I think, is for all businesses, Waterfowl, tents, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, shopping is everything.
Okay, thank you.
The length of stay and the party size, again, what we learned at the bottom, visitors are split between day trippers and overnight guests. So remember that the definition of a visitor is if they travel more than 50 miles or if they spend the night. So we have quite a few day trippers. We're kind of around 40% stay 1 or even 2 nights, roughly 20% stay more than 3 nights, which we were really surprised to discover that. Party size is pretty close to 3 people. Let's see, what else? One of the things that I find really interesting, which is not a surprise, actually it's on the next slide, let me see, is accommodations. Most are in a hotel or motel. We have a really high number, and this is not too surprising, of people that stay with friends or relatives. I don't know about you all, but I've heard of people fighting over the spare bedroom at someone's house because it's Waterfowl weekend. So we have pretty high spending on lodging in this county, and most of it, as you can see, is in Easton. People do stay in the other towns in our county, but Easton is definitely the main place. Let's see. Taxes. What's very interesting about taxes, and I'm going to focus really on the local taxes on the right, is our hotel taxes. Waterfowl Festival weekend generates about $29,000 in hotel taxes and revenues. Property taxes is kind of interesting, and I really had to talk to our analytics folks to understand this number. So I'm going to read this to you since it's a little more complicated. So property taxes are calculated using our local property tax rate, and they're calculated in the in-plan model. It allocates a portion of property tax receipts based upon a visitor's contribution to residential wages or commercial income. So the property tax figure, which is 77%, is mostly businesses. And if you think about it this way, customers spend money in our businesses. The property tax amount here indicates the amount that the business passes on to pay their property taxes. So 4% of spending by customers goes to pay the business's property taxes. So what do our attendees and residents think about the festival? This was really interesting to me, and I think this number, the Net Promoter Score of 67, is to me one of the most important pieces of this pie. If you have heard of a Net Promoter Score, it's a measure of customer loyalty. It is the single most correlated satisfaction metric with profitability, but also with people returning. If you want to improve your event, you look at your Net Promoter Score and you watch and you see how it changes. So it's an important measure to know who's going to visit again, who's likely going to promote your events, and a good Net Promoter Score, a very good score, is 60. Without fail, we pretty much put the Net Promoter Score out of the water. Overnight guests in Easton, score of 90. Visitors whose primary reasons were to enjoy the cultural heritage of the shore, attending as a family tradition, 86. First-time visitors, a score of 86. Repeat visitors, 83. Other visitors, 74. And even our own Talbot County residents who have to put up with traffic issues and all sorts of other things for festival weekend still give us an amazing Net Promoter Score. I want to take a moment here to mention that if this is accurate, with 1 year of not having the festival and this incredible customer loyalty, I think we're going to have to hold on to our seats for this November, which in my opinion is exactly how a 50th anniversary celebration should be. So I think we have a lot to look forward to this year. I also want to take a moment to mention and make sure that you all have seen that our featured artist this year is Bart Walter. Bart is the sculptor that did the goose family outside of our building. Bart got his start here at Waterfowl Festival. We have had to contract with him. We started working with him 2.5 years ago just to get on his schedule. He is an internationally acclaimed sculptor that got his start here in Easton, and we're thrilled to have him back this year. So 89% of attendees, so remember that's everyone, were satisfied or extremely satisfied with the festival. 82% of residents believe that we're very important for celebrating and showcasing local culture. 75% find us very important or essential for providing recreational and educational opportunities. What do residents think? 83% of residents believe we are very important or essential for the local economy. 81% believe we're important or essential for promoting local attractions and amenities. I love the fact that 99% of the visitors plan to come back to our county again. Residents' opinions. 63% believe that we're important for uniting the community towards a common goal. I loved that. That was a surprise factor to me. I really was thrilled with that. And they also find that we're important for igniting community pride and providing opportunities for engagement. We've started to talk about ourselves as an Eastern Shore homecoming event. If you're Southern, homecomings, when all the family comes back, you see all the relatives, we think we're an Eastern Shore homecoming. Reasons for attending and other events. They love the artists' work, walking around town. You know, Easton puts on the dog pretty well for Waterfowl Festival weekend. And many people don't realize we're a nonprofit organization. A lot of people think Waterfowl Festival is a Town of Easton event. And we kind of like it that way. It creates some issues, but we kind of like it that way. So you can see here, Megan, back to your question, food and beverage vendors are one measure here. Dining out at restaurants is another measure here. And we felt like that was really important to capture. Similar graphics, similar questions asked, but the food and beverage and the fine art are really the primary reasons that people love coming here. You'll notice the next two things on there are all about dogs. You might have noticed in the 2019 festival there were a lot of furry friends walking the streets, which is something we have to figure out how to manage, I think, and be careful about. So, wrapping up, we are a community nonprofit organization. We're a valuable asset for county tourism and economic development. We are now in our 4th generation of guests. Just pause for a minute and think about that. What other festival that's community run and community supported in this country can claim that they're on their 50th year? A lot of festivals have gone by the wayside. We haven't, because our community supports us. We have 750 volunteers that come out, the countless in-kind businesses that come out. We believe we're going to be a critical part of the recovery for 2021. So I ask you to mark your calendars for the 50th Festival, November 12th through 14th, 2021. And I would be remiss if I didn't make the request to the town to consider using some of the federal funding that's coming to localities to become an official partner and sponsor for the Waterfowl Festival for our 50th celebration. So thank you very much. Any questions about this? I've flown through quite a lot of 31 pages of economic impact.
Margaret, do you want to talk about some of the things that you've done to the building?
Sure.
Of course, this last year.
Sure, I'd be happy to talk about that. Boy, it was 2 years in the making. We won a grant in 2018. We won a grant from the Maryland Historical Trust to restore the steel frame windows in the building, which were original. Many of which were kind of open that much and couldn't be closed further. So we won that grant in 2018. We just completed that project after going through all of the historic district commissions, the state regulations, and then there was COVID. So we completed half of the windows in, I've almost forgotten, I believe it was November of this year. We have applied to the state, Maryland Historical Trust, for phase 2 of the windows, which will get the windows done on the east and the north side of the building as well. We've been working with the Easton Economic, EEDC. I always get my acronyms wrong. We have a partnership with them. They've been helping us pull together information from different contractors about what it'll take to get the roof redone and get other things redone in the building. So we're looking forward to being able to have sparkly windows that close all the way, and all of the new glass that's been put in is also insulated glass. So better R values and that sort of thing with the building as well. We consider the building a showcase and the center of town, and I've had great fun looking through Star Democrat articles and finding the ways it's been used in the past. It's been used for boxing matches, art shows. President Kennedy visited during his re-election campaign when the State Grange was meeting there, it's had incredible uses over time, and I hope that we can actually really fully restore it at some point to showcase those uses.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Thank you very much, Margaret.
You're welcome. Lots of data in the report. If you have any questions, I think most of you all know where to find me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a review of invoices totaling $1,277,528.88. We have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there anyone else who has anything to bring before the council? It's pretty quiet out there, so we'll go to items from the council. Mr. Silverstein.
Well, first of all, seeing as how no additional petitions were taken out today, all three candidates for Ward 2, 4, and Town Council President, I congratulate you on another successful election, which will be coming up in May. I think it says a lot about how people feel that the council is working together on behalf of their interests. And secondly, recently there was a report that came out listing the 25 friendliest cities in the United States, and Easton made number 4. And I would hope people would take that to heart as they go about their daily business and try to be as friendly and as helpful to everybody that they can, especially when they're driving. And as we get into the season of cleaning up and sprucing up our community. So it's another honor that we have recently garnered.
Thank you. Mr. Abbatiello?
Thanks, Al. Appreciate that. I just want to say I got the opportunity to help out the EEDC this weekend on Saturday at the Easter Bunny meet and greet, I guess, at the courthouse. And I just wanted to thank Arden Kern and Jeff Langford and all their volunteers that they had helping them. They did a really great job.
Reverend Davis?
I want to thank Al, Don, and Megan, and just want to thank the whole council for just having me be a part on the council and helping me live out some of the things that life has brought me at this point in time. Secondly, I want to make sure that everyone's safe in our community. The daylight is a little longer, and people are walking, and want individuals to make sure that they adhere to our stop signs and our red lights to make sure pedestrians and the dogs make it across the street. It's important.
Thank you.
I have something to add on to that.
Sure.
I thought of this coming to work. It is indeed warm, and people are starting to ride their bicycles. People have to understand that bicycles have the same right-of-way as motor vehicles. They have to drive in the same manner. They have to stop for stop signs, traffic lights, so forth, so on. And most importantly, anybody riding a bicycle should be wearing an approved helmet. It's been shown to be extremely effective in preventing head injury. So I encourage people to go out biking, but I wish them to do it safely.
All right, and I encourage everyone to, well, we are running unopposed, to still come out and vote in May at the town election at the Fire Hall down on Leonard Rick Drive. On Tuesday, I think polls open, Ms. Ruff, at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. So, all right, I'll take a motion to adjourn for this evening.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.